panic mode.
I'm so excited.
I've been looking forward to this because we really can't go anywhere, and the garden is my fun, and this is my fun place, and I'm happy to share it with you.
That's so good. So for everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm starting a new series called Gardening with My friends who have gardens. So Crystal is actually my high school classmate. We graduated from high school together. I'm in Chicago, she's in Georgia, and she will tell you more like about herself, and then we'll get into like your garden and how magnificent it is. So how did you get into gardening?
Okay, initially when the quarantine began, my mind started working, saying, hey, what can I do with my family at the house? We can't do the road trips, we can't plan the summer vacation like we normally. So I was like, a thing that we can do at the house together is grow a garden. We could build something together and work in it daily, and it'll give us something fun to do.
That's great. So is this really your first year gardening?
No, before this is my second time gardening.
Okay.
Before I started working outside of the home, I had a daycare here at my house that I ran for 10 years. And one of those years, I did a garden with the children. And I found that it was a great learning tool for the kids. They really enjoyed it. Right. So this is my second time with the garden. Second year.
Okay, cool. And yeah, gardening with kids is so great because of course they get to be involved, but they can literally see the vegetables growing. Like they remember like, oh, I planted that seed and now this thing is happening. So that's great.
Yeah, it's like evolution right before your eyes. So
right.
They really loved it. They got into it. I didn't have to make them water. I didn't have to make them weed. They wanted to do it. So it'll be great for parents with small children.
Yeah. So you got something there on the table. So what is there on that table?
Okay, today I thought that I would share with you guys how I garden using containers.
Right.
So here on the table I have rocks, because when you plant in containers, you have to have great drainage. And putting rocks at the bottom of your container is the way to go. You don't have to worry about root rot and anything happening to your plant will stay healthy if you have good drainage. And then I have compost and I have soil.
Okay.
And I was gonna share with you how to plant in containers, and I was gonna plant this eggplant because it has become my favorite plant in the garden. I just love how it grows.
So I want to see this whole process. I gotta see it.
Okay, you ready?
Yes, I'm ready, girl.
Okay. I'm gonna take the rock. I'm gonna try to make this as easy as possible. So I'm gonna use this container. I'm gonna fill it and then pour the rocks in.
Okay.
And this bag of rocks, okay, when I first started the garden, I was worried about expenses because it could get kind of pricey when you want to get all the best things for your garden.
Girl.
But rocks is about $4 at I think Home Depot.
Okay.
And I use these pebbles a lot in the garden.
Okay. You're teaching me something because I tried to do container gardening this year and successfully did it with 2 containers, but the other ones, they was like, nah, sis. So you're teaching me something with these rocks.
Yes, if this, I would not put anything in the container without the rocks.
Now the pot that you're putting it in, do you have drain holes in there too?
Yes, I get this pot from Home Depot. It has holes all around the base because that's important too, so that the water can flow through.
Okay.
You do put a good amount of these pebbles inside of the pot. A good amount.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have Rod kind of zoom in so we can see like how deep you went with the rock.
Pretty much, Andrea. I pretty much filled it up to half the hole.
Oh, okay. Okay,
all right.
cool.
The next thing I'm gonna do is add the compost, and then I'll add the Miracle Grow. There are some more things that I put in the pot to add nutrients to the soil, but it kind of gets smelly, and I don't want to.
Yeah, I have a product that I use, a fertilizer that I use. I'm actually gonna do a video talking about the different fertilizers that I use, and it smells so awful. Like I try to
run you out
do it when it's gonna rain. Like it's awful.
It's pretty bad. I also use blood meal. Have you ever tried that?
So I just purchased blood meal for the first time because I have corn, and I was reading, okay, you should have blood meal for your corn. And then I read that blood meal attracts raccoons, and I was like, okay, never mind, I'm not gonna put it down.
It is animal's blood, dried animal's blood. So you will get things, a lot of flies, a lot of things that would be attracted to animal blood. But it really is good for the plant, because my plants did thrive after I used it.
They did. I have a pack. I have a pack of blood meal, and the main animal that I have an issue with is possums. I told everybody I love all animals except for possums. Like literally, that's the asterisk. So when I heard that blood meal attracts possums, I was like, oh no, never mind. I'm just not putting it down.
It's a real thing. I also wanted to try some kind of chicken pellet.
Okay.
But I haven't been able to find any in the local store. I would have to order some. Have you tried?
I haven't done chicken pellets, but I've done coffee grounds as well as just compost in general, banana peels, and eggshells.
So have you seen any difference with maybe some of the plants you didn't use the eggshells with?
Absolutely. So this year I'm growing bigger tomatoes. So I have Better Boys, and they were like, because they're bigger tomatoes, it just takes them a much longer time to turn red. And so somebody was like, just add eggshells to the soil. I literally put eggshells in there, and like 3 days later, they started turning. I mean, it was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, like it was crazy. So like today, actually today I took some video. I've already eaten the tomatoes. Like none of my stuff makes it very far, but yeah, the tomatoes turn in just a few days. So I try to add fertilizer and add those things because they do make a difference. I actually have a friend. She's doing her first garden, and she's like, nothing is growing, but it's not like really, really growing. So I asked her, I said, well, do you do fertilizer? She was like, oh, no, I don't. And I'm like, that's why. You got to give it some more nutrients. It's like vitamins for vegetables.
Yes, and I will bring some stuff out here to show you how I feed the plants, because I put food in the container pots every 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's me, every 2 weeks.
Make sure they have enough nutrients.
Yeah.
Okay, so I put compost in here, and the bucket is half full now.
Okay.
So now I'm just gonna add the Miracle Grow soil. Oh, I love to sit out here and watch the birds.
Man, I saw a hummingbird the other day in my garden, and I just like, every time I see it, I freak out. I'm never cool. I'm just like, it's a hummingbird. And
why are hummingbirds so mystical? Aren't they mystical? Like when you see one, you get excited.
I swear it's like seeing an alien, and by the time I get my phone, it always flies away. It's like it was a figment of my imagination. I'm like, I saw it, it was right there.
I don't know why. It's just so incredible to see one. I'm glad you got to see one today.
Yeah, they're the best. They come. They
butterfly garden, and then it'll attract the hummingbirds and the butterfly.
I have the hummingbirds just don't come that often, so it really is like seeing a unicorn. I mean, it's great.
Oh, okay. So you do have them come into your garden? You plant things to attract them.
Yeah, I do. I have purple hearts in my garden, and they like to pollinate in the little pink flowers. And yeah, so every once in a while they'll just come, like it's super random, whatever time of day they'll come, and I always will catch them. And by the time, like literally by the time my mind registers what it is, it's gone. Like,
well, it just gives you something to look forward to, because one day you're gonna catch that
one
hummingbird.
day I will.
Okay, so now I have the soil and it's filled to the top, and I'm just gonna use my spade. I don't wear gloves in my garden. It might not be appropriate, but I don't ever wear gloves. But I'm just gonna mix in all of the soil and the compost. So this is it. This is how you plant in containers. It's pretty easy. I'm gonna just take the eggplant out of the pot, and I just make a hole big enough to contain the root of the plant. And I just sit it in there and surround it, and it's gonna thrive in here. I don't have to worry about it anymore.
That's good. And one of the things I want to point out to the people who are watching, Crystal is in Georgia, so she has a long growing season. I think you guys start April, Easter sometime?
Yeah, so it starts really to get warm in April.
Yeah, so April, and then until like October?
Yes, I actually started late. And
okay.
Myself for that. I started in March.
Okay.
So yes, we should go into, I think we should be okay until maybe late September.
Yeah,
I have started doing some succession planting. So what that means is since I know my cucumber are kind of fading out,
right,
I planted more seeds for cucumber.
Right.
And I've also did some sponge gourd, because I looked up some sponges, and I didn't know that you actually grow sponges from seeds.
I didn't know that.
But it grows like a gourd, and then you crack it open, and it's a sponge that you can use for bathing or washing. So I planted some of those seeds, and I also planted some okra. So I have just recently planted some seeds. We got somebody mowing the lawn. They don't know that we're in the middle of production.
Right. This is a movie set. Be quiet.
My neighbor's trying to get their yards together.
I'm really glad though that you showed me how to do the container plants, because I definitely tried to do container plants this year. I'm having success with the okra and the peppers, but I put tomatoes in there, and I think the roots are compact because it wasn't draining, and I didn't even think about doing the rocks. So I'm glad that you showed that, because next year I will do containers, but I'm gonna do the rocks, and then that process that you just showed. I'm gonna give it a try, because the tomatoes were actually growing. I got some buds on them, but then they just was like, sis, we done. We not. Okay, now I want to see your garden. I want to be nosy.
Okay, I'm gonna show you the garden. But one thing I wanted to say about having a garden here, the heat can really do a number on the plants during the summer. So this isn't a great month for productivity for the garden, but I'm trying to keep everything healthy, and I think I need to add some type of shade. But I'll show you some of the things that I have growing.
Okay, cool.
Okay, initially the garden was on this area here, and I kept buying stuff, and I was like, where am I gonna put this stuff? So Rod brought me this, what you call, a pallet?
Pallet, yeah.
And the pallet is great for drainage for the container plant.
Oh,
Because
great.
fitting the container plants directly on the ground is not a great idea either.
I learned that as well this summer.
So if you can find a pallet or maybe a crate to sit your container on top of, it'll be better. So this is the platform for all the containers.
Okay.
I use some buckets from the Dollar Tree. I use some paint buckets. I use everything I can get my hands on. So this is a tomato plant, and it has not been producing that well, but it seems healthy.
Okay.
And I have been pruning a
Yeah.
lot. The rosemary is doing great. Basil. This is the
Echinacea.
echinacea plant. You're supposed to I think dry it and maybe put it in your tea.
Yeah, you can.
I've never used it before, but I'm excited. I've been enjoying this garden sage. I use it to make tea. I put it in my green tea. I use a coffee filter, and I put the leaves in it, and I tie it up, and I let it steep in my tea.
Oh, so, man. I bet that is good.
It is good with the green tea. So that's one way I've been using the sage. But I need a couple of more ways to use it because it's growing really good in the container.
Yeah.
It's in the bucket.
Yeah, drill holes in the bucket.
We had to drill holes in this bucket.
Okay. Okay.
This is the first eggplant, and it's growing. I got three eggplants growing on this tree, and it's in a container. Do you see?
Man, that? I can't.
The container is not that big. It's really small.
Okay. And you had to put a cage around it.
Yes, because the eggplant get pretty heavy, and they start leaning over.
Right.
So you have to put a cage over. Okay, I'm going to show you this. I want her to see this plant here. This is one of the okra plants that I grew in the pot. I want you to see the stem on it, and I'm going to compare it to the one that I have in the ground.
Okay.
See how thin it is?
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's go to the one that's... Look how huge this one is.
Wow.
See how thick that stem is?
Uh-huh.
Container growing is good, and it's awesome to have options, but I think everything grows better
in the ground.
Yeah.
I'm growing some okra in the container and some in the ground because I wanted to do the same thing. I wanted to compare. And the ones in my container are actually growing better than the ones in the ground.
Wow.
But I don't know why. Like, it's not like I was doing something special, but I also think that the ones in the ground in my garden are super close to the pumpkin, and the pumpkin vines are like choking out the stems a little bit.
So it may be proximity.
Yeah, it's just the proximity, but I am glad that you showed that comparison because I want people to kind of see, like, the difference.
It's hard to plant and not have enough space because you want to plant everything.
Right.
Everything. Okay, this is the watermelon plant. I had this plant in a container. That's why I was telling you that you can take it out of the container and then, place it somewhere else. But I took it out of the container and it's thriving now in the ground.
Yeah, and I see you got hay there too to protect it.
I'm not sure if this is the right way to go, but I need some type of, I know I need something so the vines can climb.
Right.
So I may switch this out and do a fence or something.
Okay.
I have no idea what this is. I just plant stuff. Oh, I want to show you the chard. I initially I wanted to grow some lettuce, but like you said, it gets so hot here.
Right.
Lettuce does not do well with heat, but the chard does well from seed. And I come out here and I cut it and I put it in my rice or my eggs, and it keeps coming back. So this is one plant that I'm gonna keep growing from seed. I know that it'll produce a lot every year.
Okay.
It's
Cool.
my favorite. I did put my pineapple cherry bush in the ground, and it's not looking too great. It's a decision that I made, and I gotta live with it. But it's not bad, and I'm hoping that it'll catch roots and I have more success with it.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna try to make some type of jam with it.
Okay.
I've been just collecting the pods, and I'm gonna try to make some.
Okay.
This is my zucchini plant, and it hasn't been producing a lot, but I do see some things growing on it. I've learned that it's like slow to grow.
It is.
So
it's very slow.
I'm just being patient with it. These are my tomato plants that I couldn't help but to purchase because I found them on sale for $4. I didn't.
Oh,
need them.
wow.
I was
That's
like,
good.
they're just giving them away. So I brought them home, and I think they're doing really good. I pruned my tomato plants a lot because I think that it's best for the plant to focus on the fruit. So I take a lot of the leaves off of the tomatoes.
Yeah. I do the same.
So I put the marigold over here in the garden to bring some pollinators. I know it's taking up a lot of space in my garden, but I'm willing to let them grow so they can do their thing. And we have some jalapeno peppers here because Ron loves jalapeno peppers. And they produce a lot more than any other thing in the garden. I think I have more jalapeno peppers than anything.
It's that Georgia heat.
They thrive. So a lot of success with those. And here I put some sweet potatoes in a cooler. We weren't using this cooler anymore, so we were like, hey, let's put some holes in it and grow some potatoes. I don't have any idea what's going on, but the leaves are, they're everywhere. And I think they're doing really good. Okay, now this is my blueberry bush.
Oh.
We have not had any blueberries this year. I'm not sure why. I talked to a lady, and she told me I have to feed the plant more nitrogen. So
yes,
next year I'll be on top of that, and maybe we'll do more. This is my bell pepper plant. I love this bell pepper plant. It grows really pretty too. I didn't know that it gets so tall. I had to put a cage on top, and it can get a little top heavy because the bell pepper gets pretty heavy.
Yeah, it
Even
does.
though the skin on them are not as thick as the ones that we get at the supermarket, but the flavor on them are amazing. And if when you touch it, and you immediately get that fresh pepper smell, and it's I'm like, these are the freshest bell pepper I ever had. So it grows really well. I think we have about 4 on this tree. And then these are my cherry tomatoes. And they have been producing a lot. I got 2 red ones. They're very pretty. These are pretty to watch though. I also have a peach tree. This is with a peach tree.
Some Georgia peaches, man.
There aren't any peaches on this peach tree. I have learned that in order to grow peaches, this is what the guy told me at the nursery. In order to grow peaches, I need another peach tree. But it has to be a different type of peach tree, not the same type.
Because they pollinate, right?
Yeah. So I'll have to purchase. He told me to bring the leaf from this peach tree, and that he would help me to get another peach tree. So, and then you have to grow them within proximity of each other so they can pollinate.
Wow. It's gonna be amazing, like in a few years, you know what I mean? Like that's gonna be the gift that keeps on giving once they start producing. But after a while, you're gonna have peaches forever. Like that's the best.
Yes, I must admit that my sister Jasmine, she brought this tree back here, and we named this tree Maddie after my grandmother. So we will definitely keep this tree, and we will figure it out.
That is so good. That's beautiful.
My grandmother really liked fig, so I think I'm gonna take a crack at growing a fig tree next year. Okay, well this is my pear tree. I got this tree about 2 years ago from Walmart, and it's the same thing with this pear tree, because I was like, why am I not getting any pears?
Mm-hmm.
So I have to get another pear tree.
Okay.
Because it needs to cross-pollinate also.
Okay. I've been so scared to grow a tree just because I know that it needs the cross-pollination. And I'm all like, I don't know what fruit I love the most to buy two of it, you know?
Yeah, and I was like, where am I going to put all these trees? But you can maintain the size of the tree because you can cut it so that it won't get so large.
Yeah. See?
You can prune the tree just like you prune anything else. So if you let it get out of control, it'll get out of control. So, and I guess you can, based on the type of tree you get, because you know they got so many different varieties now. You might get something that don't have to be so large. This is the white sage. I just started burning the sage sticks. I did have a lavender plant, but I didn't have a lot of success with it. The guy at the nursery told me that I was over watering.
Yes.
So I moved this over here, and it still didn't thrive. So I'll take another crack at it. But I plan on taking some of this and making maybe some sage sticks. This is the white sage. I don't know if I cook with it.
So I was gonna say I'm actually growing sage this year too, and I've had easy success with it. But lavender, this is now my 3rd year with lavender, and it's finally thriving. And he's exactly right. You do not water it a whole lot. And I actually also think that it doesn't need like so much sun like all the time. So that might be something that you might want to shade.
Okay, so if we do lavender, we need to make sure that it's in a container where we can pick it up and move it to a shaded area.
Right.
Okay, I do the aloe plant like that. I have to put it up under the carport.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since I figured that out, it's growing really well.
Right.
And I guess I need to do the same thing with this plant.
Right.
Okay.
And the thing I kind of want to point out to anybody that's watching this, so what I love about Crystal's garden is that some stuff didn't grow, some stuff grew, some stuff she's trying again, and that's what gardening is about. It's a lot of trial and error. For every year you learn something, you connect with other gardeners. It's a continual learning process. I feel like I learned so much so fast. Like I went from beginner to like intermediate in like a month.
Yes, but it's fun, and
Mm-hmm.
learning is fun, and that's what I like about the garden. You can never know enough. You will always be learning something new. So I think
all the time.
That's what I like about it, and I enjoy it because it's ongoing.
Wow. I want to ask you. You mentioned that your whole family. So is this something everybody does? Like your husband, everybody?
Initially they did help, but it has really just become my thing.
Okay.
They come out and see what's growing, but they didn't take an interest to it like I had hoped. But they do come out if we need herbs for dinner. Mm-hmm. They will come out and they'll cut some herbs from the garden, or come out and get some peppers. So that's their interaction at this point. But
That's
and
good.
also, if they see some good tips, they will send me the links to my phone. So
That's cool.
they're thinking about the garden more than they're working in the garden.
But Rod, I know Rod helped carry the dirt. He carried the bag.
Yes, he does all the heavy lifting. He put the tent up for me and got all the supplies ready today.
That's good. That's really good.
Oh, yeah, it is. It is. I still wanted to show you some of these things before I forgot.
Oh yeah, the fertilizer stuff, right?
Yes, this is the liquid Super Thrive. You know, people are very opinionated when it comes to putting things on their plants in the garden. So some people may like this, some people may not, because I know a lot of people are organic in their garden.
I'm all organic.
So it's organic. Yes, it is organic. But I mix this with water and I come out and I feed the plants, especially the container plants. You have to feed the container plants because they're not in the ground.
How often do you feed your plants?
Every 2 weeks.
Okay.
So this will last you for a while.
Okay.
And then this are some pebbles. You just sprinkle the seeds in the potter if you don't have time to, do all the mix again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you know about this, and this is the neem oil.
Yes, I use it all the time. If not every other day, all the time.
So these are the 3 things that I use routinely in my tiny garden.
That garden, man, I knew that I really wanted to have you on the channel because people see my yard and they're like, oh man, I wish I could. I'm like, look, there are so many different kinds of ways that you can garden and still have success. And you have like maximized your space in such a way where you can grow. Like, I actually think you're growing more things than me. You're just doing it in the containers and you can still have success. You just have to know how to feed it. It sounds like you have to feed it a little differently and you have to set it up, a little differently, but you can still do it.
Yes, and you can use whatever you have on hand, because initially I know that I spent $100 initially, like probably my first visit at the supply store. And I was like, oh wow, I see how this can kind of get expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to come up with some creative ways to plant my vegetables. And I think it works for me. It's not the prettiest place, but as long as my plants are green and thriving, I'm happy.
Right.
So
I love it.
What to have.
And I mean, that's a pretty massive garden for that to be really, I guess you could say, your second time out. I mean, you really went for it.
I'm so happy. I cannot wait for the fall. I think I'm gonna do even better for the fall.
That's great. That's great. I'm definitely going to make sure that we start swapping tips because I picked up a couple things and it looks like, that you picked up a lot of things in gardening, and you're like me. You talk to the people at the greenhouse, be making friends with other gardeners. Like, that's me. I meet somebody every time I go to the greenhouse, and I just love it. I mean, you have the marigolds, you got okra, you have cucumbers, sweet potatoes, you have a whole produce section over there. That's crazy.
Yes, I just went and got the herbs because I just realized how awesome herbs are. They really make your food taste so much better. So I got thyme and rosemary, and I got some parsley. I'm gonna add here.
You're gonna love that parsley, girl. I got a recipe for parsley. I'm gonna send it to you. It's some garlic aioli. It's like a mayo, like a dip that you can put your vegetables in. It's already a good recipe, but when you add the parsley, it's just it takes it to the next level.
I will definitely make it, so please send it to me.
Yeah, I will. Is there anything else you want to cover, or anything you want to say to the people on my channel?
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity with the pandemic happening. I love to travel and be on the road, but the garden has really been my savior. I get up on Saturday and I'm excited because I'm ready to go to the Lowe's or the Home Depot to see what new plants they have. I'm ready to visit the nursery. I'm just ready to meet all of my gardening friends so they can let me know if I need to get this or that or what's on sale. So sit out here, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk about the garden because I want to talk about it all the time with whoever. If I get a visitor, I'm bringing them back here to see what's growing in the garden. So I just enjoy it, and I just want everybody to maybe grab a container and start growing things.
Thank you so much, Crystal. Like, you have no idea how much we have in common.
Well, I just want them to know that gardening is fun with the Windy City Peach.
Yes, Crystal made a custom shirt. She surprised me with this shirt. I am going to make sure I put in the description box all the products that you mentioned, a link so people can go and purchase them. And I'm so thankful. Thank you for being my first guest.
Thank you. And I just want to shout out to my mother-in-law, Greta Fletcher, for making this shirt for me last minute. She knew how important it was, and she was like, okay, go get the material. I'll make it for you. So if you want one, I'll send you one too. You just have to send me your address.
I do. I will.
Okay.
I will. Thank you in advance.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Bye, girl.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much again, Crystal, for joining me. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you comment down below and tell me what you learned from Crystal. Make sure you hit that subscription button. Of course, I have some recipes coming, some more gardening updates, and some tips and tricks for you in the kitchen and in the garden. Thank you all so much for joining me. Talk to you next time. Bye.